Welcome back, you beautiful souls. This is James, also known as the Only Zerg. And this will be part 9 to What If Deku was born with a copy quirk and he is born into a world where only females manifest quirks. So that being said, let's get into this. Where we last left off our story, we found Izuku was having a conversation with Sue about the law, about their losses and everything, and how she can relate to him. How she could relate to him, and basically, like towards the end of the conversation, Izuku asks for her number. She does give Izuku her number, and they'll chat over the next couple of months, until like basically the UA Sports Festival. So that being said, Izuku was like happy the rest of the day, like happy and everything. And that afternoon, All Might asked him, like, so what are you so happy about? And Izuku's like, well, I, I, I got the girl's number. And All Might kind of like lightens up, and she's like, oh, you did? So you finally asked her out? And Izuku's like, no, I just got her number. We're not at that stage yet, and I don't even know if she likes me or not. And All Might just kind of laughs at this, and All Might then explains to Izuku that they're going to have some time off because of the USJ attack. The school's giving them a week off. And we'll be going over events that happened during this week. So, first off, Deku, like, the next day, Izuku, in the morning, asked All Might if he can have a couple of friends over this week, so that they can get some training in with their quirks. And All Might's like, yes, but who exactly? And Izuku says, well, I want Katsuki to come over, because... And All Might's like, okay, explain what you want to do, Izuku. Promise won't get it. And Izuku's like, well, I kind of wanted to keep it a surprise from you, but I'm going to need your help with it. I think I have an idea of where we can take care of that, basically pointing to her side. And All Might's like, what do you mean? And Izuku's like, well, I've been trying to do it, but I don't know. I think that was just a one-time deal, but if I use Monema's quirk, I can possibly duplicate the regeneration quirk, and we can see if it can heal like your wound, even though it's so old now. And All Might's thinking, it's like, do you think it's such a good idea? Because I would have to reveal my injury secret, and possibly like one for all. And he's just like, no, like I already have that planned out how I can explain it. Basically, how I explained it to Katsuki, to Kachan. She accepted that, and I believe it will work in this instance too. So Izuku explains his plan, and All Might's like, wow, you've really thought about this. And Izuku's like, yeah, I really couldn't sleep last night, but I'm not even sure if it's possible. But with how Monoma acts and Katsuki, she's keeping your secret. So she'll be fine, but I also want to do something for her if I can do this. But it all hinges on Monoma, and if I can do it, I'm gonna offer her something she's asked me. She has asked me before if she can train with me to possibly extend her time limit or make it permanent, like mine is. So I think I can do this, but it really depends on her. So All Might, she gives her blessing to invite them over. The thing with she was like, you don't necessarily have to ask, but he's like, yeah, but with what happened with Kachan, I figure it'd be better if I ask you so we don't have an instant like that happen again, where you're surprised and caught off guard and you're out of your time limit for the day. So now we skip to later on that day. He calls up, or I'm gonna say 30 minutes later, after he thought about what he was going to say to Momona to like actually get her to come over. But if Izuku's asking you over to his house, and if you're in the My Hero Academia universe, and you know All Might is his quote unquote mom, or the adult that's in the household, I'm pretty sure anyone would want to come over to get a chance to actually spend like time with the number one hero. So Izuku calls Katsuki up and asks her to like come, and she's like, okay, so you need my help to help her out. And Izuku's like, yeah, because if she gets a hold of, I don't know, it'd be best if we use like your quirk, and it's up to you, Kachan. Like, you can say yes or no. If not, we can figure something else out. I'm pretty sure I can ask All Might if she knows a few people that would be able to help out. But in any case, so Katsuki agrees, and she asks him like, what time? And Izuku says, well, if I can get in touch with Monoma, like, I'm planning on like we start at 3 this afternoon, and I'll say this is in the morning. So Izuku then, like, once he gets off the phone with Katsuki, he then calls Monoma, and he asks her the same thing. He asks her, hey, Monoma, like, this is kind of out of the blue, but the reason I'm calling you is, like, I want to see if you're available to, like, do some training this afternoon. And Monoma's like, I didn't know you were actually considering that. And Izuku's like, yeah, you asked me for help, and, well, I figured it'd be awesome to train with someone that has a copy quirk like mine. And there's also some things I've been meaning to ask you about that, and a few things that I'm trying to do. But in any case, I'd really appreciate it if you came over this afternoon as well. And she's like, as well. And she's like, wait, what do you mean come over? And Izuku's like, well, I asked my guardian if I can have a couple of friends over, and she said yes. And this is when Bona like pipes up and like kind of screams to the phone. It's like, wait, you're asking me to All Might's place? Yeah, definitely, of course I'm gonna come. And Izuku kind of smiles, and he's like, damn, maybe I should have just used... He's thinking, damn, maybe I should have just used, like, All Might's, like, fame to get this done. But in any case, Izuku has some things that he needs to prepare. So 3 o'clock runs around, and he tells Monoma, like, 3:30. And he tells Katsuki 3 o'clock. Because there's some things that he wants to discuss with her in private, that he has a few things he wants to ask her, because she is his friend, and he wants to ask her some advice about how to approach Suyu, and like, how do you tell if a girl likes you or not. Basically picking her brain from like a female side, like of like his peers. So Katsuki arrives, then Izuku has that conversation, and sorry about that. Katsuki, hold on, I'm gonna have to pause this. So Kotsky basically explains to him, well, I don't know, this is kind of weird, easy, this is kind of weird, nerd, but okay, wait, you like someone? And Izuku kind of blushes a little bit, and she's like, oh my god, the nerd likes someone. Who is it? Who is it? Is it Monoma? Like, it has to be Monoma, right? Like, she's supposed to be coming over later today, right? And he's just like, no, it's not Monoma. Monoma's just a friend. And Katsuki's like, oh, sure she is. And then Izuku's like, it's not Monoma, it's Suyu. Dang it, jerk. And Katsuki's like, mouth just goes agape. And he's like, wait, what? You like Suyu, but you guys rarely talk. And he's like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's why I can't tell if she likes me or not. Like, I don't know. And Katsuki then, like, pipes up, well, first off, you guys will, like, look at each other and then quickly look away. And basically explaining things that, what she would do if she actually liked a guy, but she wasn't approaching him, and she was waiting on the guy to make the first move. And Izuku, like, thanks her, and as they're wrapping up, like, as Katsuki wraps up, the doorbell rings, and Izuku, like, goes to the door and opens it, and it's, like, after seeing who it is, and it's Monoma, and he invites her in, and Izuku is, like, welcomes her in and everything, offers her something to drink, and then, like, Monoma's kind of peeking her head around and everything, and Izuku's like, what's wrong? And Monoma's like, is All Might here? And Izuku's like, no, and that's another thing, like, I'm sorry I didn't tell you about it, but you can probably already guess that with what Todoroki said, what she said after the USJ, but I really didn't want to be treated differently, and I didn't really want people thinking I got in on recommendation because of who the offer came from. That's why I took the practical exam. And Monoma's like, well, that makes sense. But in any case, what exactly type of training are we going to do? So basically, Izuku explains, and then Monoma realizes Katsuki there, and she's like, what's she doing here? And Izuku's like, well, that's part of, like, what your training's going to involve. So, first off, like, are you able to, like, cancel a quirk that you copied? And she's like, yeah, but it does take some concentration. But since I don't have a limit, I've never really bothered. I just have let the time limit. And Izuku's like, well, we're gonna work on that. And Monoma's like, why are we gonna work on that? And Izuku's like, well, that's one of the first things I had to learn about my quirk, and I'm wanting to see what kind of training and everything we need to do to, like, help you out, and it will help us out. Like, it'll probably take a couple of hours of going through this, so I can just see where you're at, and I can gauge, like, what the differences are between our quirks. And this is when Monoma, one moment. This is when Izuku, and this is when Izuku shows them out to, like, the gym that All Might and him have in the backyard, and he basically explains All Might, she kind of had this special room built for me so I can test my powers out and do some minor training with it. But, and Monoma's like, yeah, but don't we need, like, a pro with us to be able to use our quirks? And Izuku's like, yeah, this is private property. It's my house, so it's kind of free game, but please don't destroy anything. Looking at Kotsky, and please don't destroy anything, Kachan. And Kotsky pipes. I was like, what is that supposed to mean? I haven't done that in years. And Izuku's like, yeah, but it's we could get in trouble. Plus, and he turns back to the moment. Well, what you asked? Like, oh my, she went out to get some groceries. Like, she wants to have like dinner tonight at our place. And when she found out I was having friends over, she's like, we don't. Well, if they want to stay for dinner, they can. And so Izuku asked both of them, like, so do you guys want to stay for dinner? And Monoma says, hell yeah. And Kachan's like, well, I have to call my mom and see if it's okay. And so they do, and then they begin their training. So I would say for about 5-6 hours, or no, for about 2 hours, they spend with Monoma copying Katsuki's quirk, and then like releasing it. And eventually, after a couple of hours, like 2 hours, Monoma's able to do this fairly with a lot less concentration. It's not second nature like Deku has, but then he explains to her, yeah, it took me several years to get to the point to where I can just do like purges, as like I call them, like where like I purge a quirk. Sorry about that, guys. So this is when they're coming back in to get some water or like juice. Depending, and Izuku asks them, like, so do you guys want some water or juice? And they both say like water's fine. And so Izuku like goes and makes 3 glasses of water. And as he's sitting glasses down, the front door opens up. And All Might, she walks through in her Small Might form, and Monoma turns around and she kind of freaks out. She's like, Izuku, there's an intruder in your house. And Katsuki says, it's fine, Monoma. And All Might kind of like looks up, because she's taking her shoes off and everything. And then she looks up and she's like, yes, young Monoma, it's definitely okay. I live here. And Monoma's like, wait a minute, like, I thought All Might lived here. And Izuku and Katsuki start laughing, and they kind of look at All Might, and she's like, you guys didn't tell her, did you? And this is when All Might starts laughing, and she buffs up into her buff form. And Monoma's like freaking out, and she's like, wait, so you have a transformation quirk? And Izuku and Katsuki kind of like laugh again, and then All Might deflates, and she's like, no, but this is what I'm about to say, young Monoma. You've got to keep it a secret. And she looks over at Izuku, and Izuku says, I haven't asked her that yet. And Monoma's like, ask her what? And Izuku's like, well, it all depends on if you can keep a secret. And Monoma's like, yeah, definitely. And so what is it that you wanted to keep secret? And All Might basically explains that she got an injury like several years ago. And she then turns to Izuku, and then Izuku's like, yeah, and so what All Might just said, that brings us to what I've been thinking about ever since I found out about her injury when I came to live with her, or before that. I've always been thinking, and then I did something. And then when Izuku looks down, and then he looks back up at Monoma, and he's like, and you've got to, like, I'm really asking you, there may be a way for me to, like, help you out, but I really I really need your help on this to fix this issue first. So Izuku goes in and he turns to Monoma, and he turns to Monoma again, and he's like, look, I've been thinking about ever since I found out about All Might's injury that if one day I could possibly pass down quirks that I copy, if that day ever came and I got a hold of Regeneration quirk, I would want to do it with All Might. And I was able to pass a quirk to her, and Monoma's kind of shocked. It's like, wait, you can pass quirks that you copy to people? And Izuku's like, yeah, and it doesn't have a time limit. It basically becomes their own, but when I do so, it weakens, like, the quirk is weakened, and it's up to the person to train those quirks, So Monoma's like, so what do you need from me? And Izuku's like, well, I've already done it. And then All Might shows off the shock absorption quirk that she has. It's like, wait, you gave her the Nomo? And Izuku's, no, like, one of All Might's old colleagues from the US, like, let me copy their quirk, and I did it, and it, for some reason, like, I haven't been able to do it. I think I could only do that once, or it was just a fluke, but I believe if I copied your quirk, I could potentially alter, like, do a fusion quirk between it and mine, and then make another fusion quirk after I've done that, using that quirk to create this regeneration quirk that I can pass on to someone else. And this is when Katsuki pipes up and it's like, so why am I even here? And Izuku basically turns to Kachan and says, well, Kachan, all these years I felt bad, like, after I've, like, really had it beat into me, I've been feeling really bad about, like, copying her quirk without asking. And, well, if this works out, I could help you out with your explosions. I could do something that would help you not receive as much recoil. Basically giving you basically passing a minor shock absorption quirk to you. And it would help with the recoil of your quirk. And Katsuki's like, wait, you do that? Why? And Izuku's like, well, you're my best friend. At least I consider you my best friend, and I kind of want to see you, like, become an amazing, like, better hero than what you think you can be. And again, guys, he looks at both of them and is like, this is all, like, really secret. All Might's injury and me passing her a quirk. Like, I don't even know if I can do this again. And I don't even know if it's possible. And I really would like permission to be able to do it. And I just felt like if I can do it, Kachan, like, I can help you out. And then also by the same process, I can help you out, Monoma. So Kachan then says, so basically you want to copy Monoma's quirk, and then some way, like, use both your quirks in combination with the ability that you've gained to, like, fuse quirks. And then you want to heal All Might, and you want to help us out with the shortcomings of our quirks, if I get you right. And Izuku says, yeah, that's exactly right. And Monoma pipes up, and she's like, well, if it's possible, do you think, like, I really would only want, like, from what you've explained about your quirk, I would only really want, like, 2 slots. And Izuku's like, okay. And Izuku's like, well, in that case, like, if it does succeed, I'll do it then. So Monoma reaches out her hand, and Izuku asks her again, like, "Are you all right with this?" So Izuku copies Monoma's quirk, and Izuku's like, "Well, it will probably take a few days before I'm ready to see where it stands and if it was a success. And when that happens, I'll text you guys to come over again. But again, please keep this a secret, like, especially All Might's injury. I don't care if people know about my quirk, like, for God's sakes, everyone already thinks I'm a damn monster because I'm a boy with a freaking quirk." And in both Monoma and Kacchan, like, begin to laugh, and he's like, "What?" And Kacchan's like, "Yeah, I kind of thought that when you were a kid, when we were kids, but I honestly was just being a dumb little brat." And Mona pipes up, is like, "I've never really thought that you were a monster. I thought it was just weird that you're a boy and you had a quirk. I never really honestly thought you were a monster, but I was annoyed about the fact that you have a copy quirk. But what made me happy about it was the fact that you have a limit, so it wasn't necessarily a stronger version of my quirk." So Izuku is like, "Okay." So he grabs her hand and copies her quirk. And so now Izuku has two versions of a copy quirk, two versions of a shock absorption quirk, a regeneration quirk, and Black Whip and Float. So Izuku is like toying around for, like, inside of his head, because he does have a good control over it, and he is able to make fusion quirks. And in, I would say, 3 days before they're supposed to return to school, Izuku sends out a text to Monoma and Katsuki in a group chat saying, if you guys want to come over again, Mom said that it's all right," which is basically their code, the code that he said that he would text them if he figured it out, in that they were going to test it. So then he tells All Might that, I believe I figured it out. And I'm going to stop real quick here. To all of you those that are like, "Oh wait, like, isn't this like too fast?" Well, you gotta think, Izuku's had years of practice with this quirk, mixing and matching quirks together. He's at least had like a year to like do this, but he's never been able to like pass quirks on again. So he's thinking that it may have been just a fluke, like some weird combination with the one for all that he copied, and he basically passed that back to All Might, is what he's thinking. But after he copied Monoma's quirk, he realized that wasn't the case. So he was able to use Monoma's quirk to copy the quirk that he gave All Might, and basically use that as a template to create a fusion quirk that he basically put into one of his slots, basically replacing the shock absorption quirk that he got from the hero. Because I'm going to say the regeneration quirk and the shock absorption quirk that he got from the Nomore, kind of like Todoroki's, would be kind of tied together and would count as one quirk. But something happens when Izuku like copies, when he does slot a quirk that he copied with Monoma's copy quirk, and he's like, it feels weaker. And Izuku like tests this out, and he punches the wall, and it doesn't do as much damage. And Izuku's like, "Wait a minute, let me do this again." And all this time he's trying to figure this out before like they get there, which will be in a couple hours. And Izuku spends like the next hour or so testing the theory out, and he explains to All Might about like what he did. And she's like, "Okay, so," and then Izuku purges the quirk again, purges the quirk again that he copied from All Might, and Izuku. So I'm gonna say this: like when he copies like a quirk that he gave to someone, it's not like another one for all stacking. Basically, he's only able to copy the other part of it, because the one for all portion of it it's not easy. It's because of what he did initially. Because of what he did, what he does, he's only able to copy a portion of the quirk because of like one for all changes to where like it can't be passed on to someone, so he's unable to copy it. Basically, like how Monoma copied One for All in the sports festival and was unable to use it. And it's probably partly because he didn't have an understanding of what the quirk actually was. So, that being said, Izuku eventually figures out that he can't use his copy quirk to copy a quirk that he's already done, but if he uses his quirk to copy the quirk that he's passed to someone, it does. He uses Mona's quirk and then slots it. It's a weaker version of the quirk. So he's like, that's kind of weird. But in any case, this kind of works out, and I needed to be able to do this. And so Izuku, like Monoma and Katsuki, they met up and they arrived, and conversation between Monoma and Katsuki goes like this. And so Monoma's like speaks out, and it's like, so I can't believe he's figured it out so soon. And Kachan's like, yeah, well, he is kind of a nerd. But in any case, this may not even work out. And you haven't told anyone, right? And Monoma's like, yeah, I definitely haven't told anyone. Like, he's a nice guy, and he already has it rough being a boy with a quirk. Like, society doesn't really take too kindly to, like, guys like that. And I can understand why. And especially if this got out, they would definitely view him as, like, as a villain, or make him an even bigger target for villains. So, this is basically the beginning of Izuku building his group of trusted friends. And Monoma, like, has proven that she can keep a secret, because Izuku having a copy quirk didn't really come out because of her. It's just they saw Izuku using quirks like other people's quirks. Because he did like show like explosion quirk. And this is what set Katsuki off, and so Kachan's like, yeah, well, if he says he can do it, if he's figured it out, he's probably figured it out. But in any case, he wants us to be there when he heals All Might, where he heals All Might, kinda. Well, he's not gonna do the healing. All Might's body should be doing it, if I comprehend what he's attempting to do. And Monoma's like, what do you mean? And she's like, wait, you didn't see him getting like when he was fighting that monster, right, at the USJ? And Monoma's like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, apparently it had a shock absorption and a regeneration quirk. It's like, wait, so that's where he got the regeneration quirk from? I thought he asked people. And Katsuki's like, yeah, but it seemed like a mindless beast. And things, Izuku realized that he would have to do it or, like, he would die. And it probably is the reason why he's still alive. Even though now that I know that's not the case, because he already had a shock absorption quirk. So he probably could have tanked those things, but I don't even think All Might in our prime would be able to hurt Deku now because of how strong, like, its shock absorption is. And Izuku has been, like, did fuse, like, the shock absorb, like, basically splitting the Nomu's quirk into 2 different points. Basically adding the shock absorption onto the one that he already has, so it's a lot stronger. And so he can now have shock absorption throughout his entire body, but focus most of it into, like, one extremity to do the power boost in, like, the impact. So they arrive and they ring the doorbell, and All Might greets them, and Monoma kind of freaks out again, and it's like, oh my, like, sorry for intriguing, but thanks for having us over. And Kachan's like, yo, like, thanks again for, like, having us over. And All Might's like, you can, if you guys have a problem calling me, like, All Might outside of school or anything, you can always call me Toshinori. Like, you can call me by my family name. And this is when Momo and Katsuki say, no, like, it's just... And Katsuki's like, yeah, like, I'm not even used to it yet, Monoma. It is kind of weird, right? And she's like, yeah, but it does explain why Izuku's so strong. Like, he's been trained by you for, like, several years now. Like, no wonder he would get that strong. So Izuku comes out, and he's not he comes out downstairs, and he doesn't have a shirt on. And he's like, what? You guys weren't supposed to be here for, like, another hour. And All Might just looks at him and is like, oh my god, this boy, he's so dense. Why wouldn't you just put a shirt on? You knew they were coming over. And Izuku basically turns tail and runs back up the stairs. Because Izuku, like, it is his house, and he does, like, when he's working out, sometimes he's not, like, he doesn't have a shirt on. Just so he can breathe more, and he has been testing things out. And he basically comes back down, and he's embarrassed, and both Monoma and Katsuki look at him and is like, dude, you're kind of jacked. And Monoma is like, kind of says, yeah, like, I knew you're strong, but, like, wow. And Kachan, like, pipes up, and she's like, yeah, but Monoma, you have no chance with him. He already likes someone else. And Monoma's like, wait, you like someone? Who is it? But in any case, I would never date Izuku. Our quirks are too much alike, and some people have already asked me if I'm dating him because our quirks are similar. And it just annoys me that people think, like, we would just get together simply because our quirks are identical. And so they proceed to the little experiment that they had planned. And Izuku's like, I'm not sure if this will actually work. And All Might, I'm not sure how this will turn out. So Izuku closes his eyes, puts his hand on All Might's, on the nape of her neck, because she's sitting down for this, because the last time it kind of knocked the breath out of her when he did this. So he's basically sitting there, and then he opens his eyes, and they're kind, and Monoma and Katsuki are freaked out, and Izuku's like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "Izuku, your eyes are glowing," and he's like, "Wait, what?" And then he's like, "Wait, so that is how I do it. I've been trying to figure it out and everything. So I guess the last time was just pure luck that I chanced about it. I've never noticed that my... so, yeah, that makes total sense now. Okay, now let's see what happened." And he's like, "Well, that's besides the point. All Might, are you ready?" And so Izuku basically transfers a altered version of the regeneration quirk mixed with the alpha one, and he was able to basically take the split one for... He was basically able to take the aspects of the one for all that he copied from All Might initially, and use the ability to be able to pass on, and fuse it with the regeneration quirk. And he did replace his regeneration quirk, because I would say he did eventually split the Nomu's quirk in half to where it's not, and combined his shock absorption, and then get rid of the Nomu's quirk to slot the regeneration quirk that he just created. So that's what he just did. And now if this is a success, he will eventually toy with it a little bit. And then All Might starts coughing, like she's coughing blood, and Monoma and Katsuki are freaking out. And Izuku basically hands All Might a bucket, as she proceeds to puke up a lot of blood, and they're really freaking out. And Izuku's like, "Don't be alarmed, that this is probably just a side effect of her body adjusting to the new quirk, and it should be fine. But just in case, I've already taken precautions for this." And they're like, "What do you mean?" And it's like, "Well, Recovery Girl's waiting across the street. We kind of asked her to be here, but she said the less she knows about it, the better. Because she's already gets questioned a lot about All Might's quirk." And they're like, "What is All Might's quirk?" And Izuku's like, "Well, it's not really my place to really say. But she does have a shock absorption quirk, and now she has a regeneration quirk, right?" All Might kind of patting her on the back, and she basically straightens up, and then buffs up, and then buffs back down, and then buffs up and buffs back down, and she's like, "Yeah, I feel great. I don't feel like..." And she takes in a deep breath, and she's like, "It's amazing. I can, it heal. It was that fast? Izuku, I thought you said the quirks would be weaker." And Izuku's like, "Yeah, well, they would be if I gave you a copied version." And All Might looks at Izuku, and she's like, "Wait, you should have kept that one. It would have been a lot better." And Izuku's like, "Yeah, I know, but you needed it more than I did. And in the last moment, I thought maybe, the one I was going to pass on to you wasn't strong enough." So Izuku does give All Might a regeneration quirk. So now All Might has the combat-oriented shock absorption, a base one for all that basically that will stockpile power. And Izuku and All Might have had a conversation beforehand about passing on a one for all. And that's what took Izuku a little bit longer to figure out, is basically you somehow using Monoma's quirk and his to create like two separate types of quirks, one that stockpile power and one that a quirk that can be passed on, and then basically doing like what One for All did for Monoma, but basically allowing the quirk to be able to be passed down, but it's subsequently not being able to be passed down any longer. So All Might stands up and she's like, "So, are you two ready? And I promise it won't be as brutal as what I had." And Monoma's a little worried about this, and she's having second thoughts, and she voices her concerns, and Katsu's like, "Yeah, I'm a little worried about that. So, Izuku, wow, what are you gonna..." And Monoma's shocked, and she's like, "Wait, you using his first name?" And she turns to Monoma. It's like, "Yeah, like we've known each other since we were like 4, and we had a conversation. The other day." And she turns to Izuku, and she's like, "Don't think this is me like kissing your ass, okay, nerd? But you are my best friend. Like, we've been through a lot, and you're family to me. I know you don't have any family left, but you have me, and I'll always think of you as my annoying little cousin." And Izuku pipes up like this, and is laughing. It's like, "Yeah, Kachan, I get it. Because I'll always think of you as my annoying older cousin." And Kachan's like, "What was that?" And Izuku's like, "It's fine, Kachan. Like, I was just joking with you." And she's like, "Shut up. So what was your idea for me?" And Izuku's like, "Okay, so it's probably going to take like a little bit before I can do that again. So while that's happening, I can explain what I'm going to do for both of you." So Izuku basically explains that, like he did for All Might, Izuku is going to give Katsuki a shock absorption quirk. But in order to do so, he's come to find out that he first has to copy their quirk, and then he basically has to copy their quirk using Monoma's quirk, and then using his own quirk on that quirk to basically create the quirk that he's going to pass down, because he has tried it the other way, but it wasn't working out. So, and this also, and like an hour has passed, and All Might like grabs a knife and tells the girls to like look away, and she basically makes a cut on her hand because they were going to test this out to see if it's like a permanent thing. And then she tells the girls it's okay to look, and they see All Might bleeding, and they're like, "All Might, what did you do?" And she's like, "Well, there's no way to test if the regeneration quirk stayed or not, if it was just a temporary thing or not." So she wipes her hand off with a cloth, and they just see her hand starting to heal. And they had explained the reason why Izuku gave All Might a shock absorption quirk in the first place. Like, he did want to do a regeneration quirk, but they couldn't find someone that was willing to let Deku copy his quirk, and Izuku wasn't going to do that by force. So they're amazed, and Izuku's like, "Okay, well, that answers that." So he basically reaches his hand up to Katsuki, and she gives her quirk. She basically allows Izuku to copy her quirk, stating like, "I am giving you permission, nerd. just so you know. If you want, just go ahead and copy it and then do the thing with her quirk. Like, basically looking at Monoma. And Izuku's like, are you sure about that? And so Izuku does copy her quirk. But then he's like, oh, crap, I'm full. And they're like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I don't have any more slots that I can use. And it revolves, how about this, Kachan? I'll copy your quirk afterwards. And she's like, okay, so Izuku purges the quirk, and then he proceeds to use Monoma's quirk. And then he uses his quirk to basically fuse the shock absorption quirk that he got the shock absorption part of the quirk that he got from the Nomu. And when he makes these fusion quirks, like, yeah, they are stronger than their bases that they're made from, but they are temporary unless he slots them. But because of the interaction with the temporariness of the one quirks, and him, if he slots a quirk that he copied with Monoma's quirk, it's weaker. It's not stronger, and that's something that he realized. And so he copies Katsuki's quirk, and he basically, how he does it, he's basically made it to where the quirk that they already have, what he passes to them will cling onto that and fuse with that quirk. So Izuku does this, and they wait like another 10-15 minutes, and then Izuku just like, his hand starts glowing with a little bit of electricity, and he punches Katsuki in the arm, and she's like, what was that for, nerd? And then Kachan looks down, and she sees his hand sparking. She's like, wait, did you just hit me with your power quirk? And Izuku, your enhancing quirk? And Izuku's like, yeah, like, there's no other way to test it. And in any case, there's still a way to like really test to see if the shock absorption quirk took ready without like doing something like this. Kind of like All Might having to cut herself to see if the regeneration quirk took. And with Katsuki not like hawking up blood and everything, and Izuku is thinking this, and he's like, okay, so now he turns to Monoma, and he's like, okay, so this is going to be a little difficult. And he basically explains, like, okay, Monoma, like, this may hurt me. So, are you sure you want to go through with this? And Monoma's like, well, if it's going to hurt you, I don't do it. I'm okay with the way things are. Like, if it's going to hurt you, I don't want you getting hurt to help me out. And Izuku kind of laughs at this, and she's like, what are you laughing at? Like, you just told me you could possibly die from this. Essentially. And Izuku's laughing. It's like, well, that was kind of a test. And she's like, what do you mean? And Izuku basically explains, goes to explain it, and this is when All Might, like, pipes up. And she's like, okay, it's not his fault, but I wasn't too sure about this. And he basically did that so that he basically wanted to put my mind at ease with you, like, knowing his secret. And Mona was like, really? Like, you honestly thought that I would tell someone about that? And almost like, I'm sorry, but I am responsible for his safety above everything else. Like, my quirk secret, and if it came down to it, like, having to protect him or, like, my quirk secret, he would take, it would, he would take priority every time. One moment. So now when Deku goes to use Monama's quirk to copy her copy quirk, I know, it's crazy, but this is the only way that I could think of doing it without just making it to where Izuku can just wanton give, like, quirks, like, you get a quirk, you get a quirk, you get a quirk, for there to actually be certain prereqs and everything for the quirk, for this quirk that he's essentially made by basically fucking around with all the quirks that he has himself. And when Izuku does do this, he he feels something weird. And he's like, hold on a minute. Hold on a couple of minutes. And 5 minutes pass, and, like, the quirk that he used, when he used Mono's quirk, he's like, I don't feel any different. And Izuku, like, then, like, he's like, wait a minute, I already have all these quirks, so one moment. He basically he asks All Might to hold her hand real quick. And he basically copies the he basically copies the shock absorption quirk again, and he slots it, and he's like, and then he basically asks Kachan, he's like, Kachan, can I copy your quirk now? And he does so, and his eyes just go wide, and because he does know what Katsuki's quirk feels like. Basically, he was using he was seeing if he can copy, like, quirks, but he notices that it was just the base shock absorption quirk that he gave All Might, like, all those years ago. It wasn't anything extra special. It's basically like as though he copied the quirk from the original source. And they ask him, like, what's going on? And then Izuku starts causing, like, little explosions in his hands. And they're like, wait. And then Kachan basically asks, like, wait, so what you just did, you have more than 6 slots now? And Izuku's like, yeah, like, apparently I do. That's weird. So, well, this is interesting. I'm gonna have to test that out. But anyways, Monoma, let's get back to, like, what we were doing for you. And so Izuku basically uses Monoma's copy quirk again to copy her quirk again, and then use that copy of it to basically create the fusion quirk that he's going to have. And since his fusion quirks already have a time limit for how long, like, he can hold them before they just disappear, it's like, so how he has to do it, the conditions and everything, this is how he has to do it, be able to pass a quirk on to someone. So he copies our quirk and then alters it to be a little bit like his. But he adds a little extra to it. So unbeknownst to her, Izuku does give her a minor regeneration quirk, basically at the same level that his own regeneration quirk is at right now, because when he copied the quirk and slotted it, it weakened. So he adds aspects of his own quirk, of the regeneration quirk, and he adds like qualities of his own quirk to it, and then adds the attachment part from One for All, basically where it stockpile power, but like where he alters it to where it would attach to the original quirk once it's passed on to someone, and it won't be able to be passed on to anyone else. So Izuku basically like looks at Monoma and tells her, it's like, are you ready? And she's like, yeah, like, please promise me this isn't going to kill me. And Izuku's like, don't worry, you saw what happened with Kachan. She was basically the test dummy after like All Might, because I wasn't 100% sure if that was just the side effect of our body healing or the quirk transferring. Because All Might did kind of do that last time too. And so Izuku grabs the nape of her neck while she's sitting down and gives her a version of his quirk, his copy quirk, to where it has 2 slots that she can she can use her own quirk to copy quirks. And then if she chooses to keep them, she can slot them like Izuku does when he uses Monoma's quirk to copy someone else's quirk. But he would only do that if he's going to give someone a quirk. Otherwise, he would just use his because he can boost the quirk a little bit, or he can boost the quirk or he can copy the quirk and it not be weakened when he slots it. So Izuku does this, and Monoma's like, I don't feel any different. And then Izuku basically, one moment, door. So Monoma basically says she doesn't feel anything different. And this is when Izuku basically like tells her, it's like, yeah, well, you do have 2 permanent slots. And he explains like how he slots things, and she's like, okay, so what you're saying is you weren't able to exactly copy, like duplicate your quirk, but I do have permanents. You theorize that I may have like 2 or 3 permanent slots. And she's like, okay, that's fine. So then and then Katsu's like, so you want to test it out? And she's like, yeah. So she basically touches Katsuki and copies the explosion, copies his quirk, but she's, for some reason, when she goes to slot it, it's weird. Like, she tries to use the shock absorption, and she can't. And Izuku's like, huh, well, that's strange. In any case, it's something you're gonna have to figure out yourself, because I don't know what's going on with that. And Monoma pipes up and is like, yeah, but like, I was able to do it, right? And Izuku's like, yeah, like, and so she did create like explosion in the hand, and he's like, well, we can only wait, like you said your time limit was 5 minutes. And Izuku, like, they wait like another hour. So Izuku, they wait like another hour, and Monoma's still able to do the explosions, but they're not as strong as the ones that Deku can create. And she's like, huh. And then she's like, so how do you get rid of the quirks? And Izuku's like, well, it's you basically do it like this, when, like, what I call purging, like when I had you work on that day. And Monoma's like, wait, is this why you had me do that? And Izuku kind of laughs. It's like, yeah, like, I'm sorry for kind of fooling you, but it was the only way that I could think of like making sure that you understood like the quirk that I could potentially give you. So Izuku, like, she's like, well, Kachan, like, Katsuki, thanks for, Bakugo, thanks for, letting me copy your quirk, but she kind of closes her eyes and thinks, like, I don't want to copy it just cuz. And only in the future, if, like, you really want me to have, like, a quirk, I'll copy your quirk back. So, Monoma then they proceed to, like, go, and Izuku's like, well, if you guys want to come here tomorrow, we can work on those quirks for a couple of days. If you, I don't know, Kachan, like, you think, like, Aunt Minsky would let you stay over? And Kachan's like, what are you thinking of doing to me, Izuku? And Izuku's like, it's nothing, it's just, it really would allow us to, like, keep an eye on things and, like, really see it. And I don't want your mom, like, it would be kind of tiresome for you to, like, constantly walk to and from, though it wouldn't really be that too much of a strain, but I just want to know that you're safe. And people seeing you coming to and from here and everything, it could give you guys some unwanted attention. And this is when All Might pipes up and she turns to Monoma and it's like, well, in that case, Izuku, I do think it is a good idea if they stay here for, like, a couple of more days. And I'll go back. I'll take Monoma home. You walk with Katsuki. I'm pretty sure you two have a little bit more things you have a few more things you want to tell her. So All Might basically asks Monoma where she lives, and they go off to speak with Monoma's parents. And Katsuki and Izuku arrive at the Bakugo residence, and Izuku's like, Aunt Miss Bakugo, it's been a while. And Mitsuki, like, almost has a freaking heart attack when she realizes, like, who just came into her house. And she just basically runs up to him and grabs him and just gives him a hug. Basically saying, like, I'm really sorry we lost contact with you after your parents. I know it must have been really rough on you having to go through that all. And Izuku pops up and is like, thanks, Aunt Mitsuki. And Mitsuki kind of, like, laughs. And she's like, it's fine, Izuku-chan. You can call me that if you want. And I have thought of you as, like, my nephew because I do miss your mom. And I do miss, like, being able to talk with her. Oh, just having two unruly children. And so Izuku's, like, apologizes for not staying in contact, even though they practically live in the same neighborhood, just on opposite ends of the district. And this is when Kachan says, Mom, like, giving some room, like, and he's not going to be here that long. He does have to get home. It is kind of late. And this is when Izuku says, yeah, and Aunt Mitsuki, I have a favor to ask. Can Kachan stay over? And Mitsuki's like, are you planning on giving me grandchildren? And Izuku's like, no, she's like a cousin to me. She's like, that seems wrong. And Mitsuki kind of laughs and everything. And Izuku, I'm not sure if I put this in a previous part, but if not, I'm adding it in here. So my apologies if this is a repeat. I know I did it with Katsuki and her mom, but I don't know if I did it with Deku and Mitsuki. And so Mitsuki begins to like laugh, and he's like, "What's funny, Aunt Mitsuki?" And she says, "Well, she said the same thing. I was just seeing if you had any ulterior motives, but I know you're a good kid, so you've put my." And she turns to Katsuki, and she's like, "So, who's the parent?" And Izuku like, "Wait, Kachan, you didn't tell her?" And Katsuki's like, "I told her you were staying with a pro, and if she hasn't figured it out, well, it's. I didn't think it was my place to say. Like, I already did the thing about your parents, and I really didn't want to like hurt you again or betray your trust again about that." And Izuku kind of smiles at this and is like, "Thanks. Well, my guardian, basically, like the hero they placed me with, you remember the pro that used to like that was training me when I was younger? Well, All Might is like my guardian." And Mitsuki's like, "Wait, you live with All Might?" No wonder there was like reports of seeing her around the neighborhood. And Mitsuki's like, "So like, am I ever gonna meet her?" And Izuku's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're gonna meet her soon." And Mitsuki's like, "What do you mean?" "Well, it is late, and she had to run someone else home, and so like I was told once we get here, because it would take us 30 minutes to get here from my house, that I should stay here, and she's going to pick me up." So Mitsuki's like, "Oh, okay. Have you guys already eaten? Like, I could warm something up." And Izuku's like, "No, it's fine. Like, we had dinner." And Mitsuki's like, "Oh, okay. Well." So they have like a conversation, and for a good 30 minutes. So this is about an hour after they left Izuku's house, and the doorbell rings, and Mitsuki basically goes through the door, little nervous, but then she looks out the peephole, and she sees a small woman and a or no, she doesn't see Small Might. She does, because I think at this point All Might is becoming more and more of a mother, so she's more and more concerned about Izuku's well-being than her own. And she is getting to the point to where her quirk she's going to reveal to the world. Like exactly what it is. Because she has been thinking about it. So she basically she calls over Izuku, and she's like, "Izuku, there's this strange woman outside, and there's a girl with her." And Izuku looks out, and then he immediately just opens the door. I mean, she's like, "What are you doing? Like, wait, who is that?" And Izuku's like, "That's All Might." And she's like, "That can't be All Might." And Mitsuki does say this as the doors opened, and All Might overheard this, and All Might basically says, "Oh, my apologies, Miss Bakugo. I'm." She buffs up and is like, "I'm All Might. But as my friends call me, they call me Toshinori. And I would like it if we could be friends. Kind of considering our my ward and your daughter are friends. It would be nice to get some advice on how to be a mother figure." And Izuku says, "Oh my, you've been doing a great job with that. Like, you don't have to worry about that." And so after the formalities of Mitsuki being introduced to Monoma, and she explains that she has a quirk that's very similar to Izuku's, but it works like really differently. and she only has a limit of 2 quirks that she can copy. And this is when Izuku pipes up and he's like, yeah, and I've recently, like, see, I originally had a quirk to where I had I had a 6 limit. And Mitsu's like, oh, so you did have a limit to how many quirks you could have. I remember Inko, and she stops and is looking at Izuku, and Izuku basically tells her, oh, it's fine, Aunt Mitsuki. And both him and her, like, start laughing, and Izuku then, like, composes himself. It's fine. Like, I can speak about her without it being a bad point. Like, I'm still upset that she's gone, but I can't always get mad if someone mentions my mom, my mother. My mom, I mean my mother. And so they explain, basically making it believable to where, like, so, like, you, Monoma? Was that right, young lady? And she's like, yeah. So basically, you had a quirk to where you could copy as many quirks as you wanted, but they were temporary. And you've been training with Izuku because he had a similar quirk. And Izuku, you had a copy quirk to where, like, you could copy a quirk and keep it permanently, but you had a limit to how many you could keep. So you two have been working together, and you've been able to. She looks at Izuku. So you're able to copy more than 6 quirks now. And Izuku says, "Yeah, but I'm not really sure what my limit is." Unbeknownst to Izuku, it's only 3 more, like the amount that he gave her. He was thinking it was like he only did 2, but he did 3. So I was like, yeah, like, I can copy more than 6 quirks now, but I can also copy as many quirks as I want if I don't copy them and slot them, as I call it. And so Izuku then turns to Monoma, and then Mitsuki, like, turns back to Monoma, and it's like, so you're able to keep quirks now permanently? And she's like, yeah, but right now my limit's only like 2 that I can do, but that may change in the future, like Izuku's has. But I can still do what I did before. I can copy as many quirks as I want, but quirks that I do copy, I can only slot 2 of them at a time. If otherwise, they have like a 5-minute time limit on them. So Izuku does, so Minsky is satisfied with this. And Bakugo's kind of like doing a twiddling her thumbs, just sitting, kind of doing like that whole thing, like in her subconscious. He's like, and they kind of like look at her, and she kind of looks back at him, and they're like, whew, she bought it. And All Might, like, when she gathers up the 2 girls, and she basically says, well, Izuku, if you want to, she looks at Katsuki, and only if Katsuki or young Bakugo would allow it. If you can carry her, I can carry Monoma, if that's okay with you, young lady. And she's like, yeah, that's fine, but, like, what are you gonna do? And Izuku, like, pipes up. She's like, well, I think what she's thinking is, we just jump home, right? And All Might's like, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, because it would be kind of weird, and also this is like a higher time, this time in the night. It is a higher crime rate, and if things happen, I'm not sure I would be able to keep you 3 out of it. So the faster we get home, Izuku, the better. And Izuku's like, okay. And so he turns to Kachan, and she's already holding out her arms, and she's like, just go ahead and do it, nerd. It's the only time I'm gonna let you hug me like this, okay? And Izuku kind of laughs at this, and he basically walks up to her, basically grabbing her, like, basically picking her up, like, kind of bridal style, and she latches onto him, and she's like, don't, like, this is weird, okay? Like, this means nothing. And he's like, yeah, it means nothing, and it does feel weird carrying you like this, but it's the only way that I can really keep a good hand on you. And, like, so they get to All Might and Izuku's house. And so I'm going to end this video here. Well, no, I'm going to go on for a couple more minutes. So Izuku, like, so reason why it took so long to get Monoma back to the Bakugo's residence is because she had to pack a few things. Like, All Might jumped to her house, and they were there within a couple of minutes. It just took her a while to pack, like, a bag, and for her, in a few minutes, like, after All Might discussed that she wants to, and her parents were a little worried about this, but then All Might shows her her hero license, and then basically explains that Izuku and her have been training in secret, and now she actually wants to supervise them because what they've been doing could be dangerous. And it's better for me to see what's going on and give them guidance. And when Monoma's parents heard this coming from the number one hero's mouth, they're like, wait, so you want to give a personal hero training to our daughter? And All Might's like, yes, that's right. And I know this is a lot of trust. Instilling the safety of, like, your child to someone else. I can get that. I've basically been taking care of a kid for, like, several years now, and every single time, like, he's not in eyesight of me, I do worry about him, so I get it. And this did make Monoma think of a few things. So that being said, they arrive at Izuku and All Might's house, and Monoma and Katsuki ask them, like, so where are we staying? And Izuku says, well, Kachan, you've never been up. All the times you've been over here, I've never had you upstairs. And she's like, wait, how big is this place? And Izuku's like, you saw like 2 stories outside, right? Well, we're the only ones that live in this entire building. And Izuku, like, Monoma and Katsuki's jaws just kind of drop at this. It's like, wait, you two are the only ones that live in this big house. And Izuku's like, yeah, that's right. So we do have a couple of guest rooms, because All Might was thinking if we have to have, like, if she has to have other pros stay while she's out of town to kind of look after me, they're gonna need their own rooms. And so she had a house. She found this place, and it's a 6-bedroom, 7 bath. And they're like, what do you mean 7 bath? Says Monoma. And Katsu's like, wait, so the shower that we use down here, like, is a communal one? And Izuku's like, yeah, like, anyone can use that when they're over here. It's more so, we kind of don't. And Izuku's like, I'm kind of a germaphobe, so we actually had that one built. And Monoma and Katsuki kind of, like, laugh. They're like, and Izuku's like, what are you laughing at? And Katsuki's like, you, a germaphobe with, like, a copy quirk? That's just crazy. I, I don't. I'm sorry, Izuku. Like, that's just kind of funny, right? One of it's like, yeah, like someone who's a germaphobe whose quirk is determinant on him touching someone skin to skin. That's hilarious. And Izuku's like, shut up. That's also like it kind of developed after, like, it's a kink that, not a kink, like a quirk that developed after my parents' death and everything. And this is when Monoma and Katsuki kind of like stop laughing. So Izuku shows them like the guest rooms, and he says all the guest rooms have their own personal shower, and you can use them as all you want. And Izuku, so he did show him the room, and he tells him, like, well, you guys can hang out with each other if you want, but you should get to bed within a few hours. I I'm going to go talk to All Might for a little bit, because there are some things I want to speak with her before tomorrow's training. And so Izuku goes downstairs, and All Might's like locking up, setting the security system and everything that she has installed in the house. And she basically does like a voice authorization, and it's like two guests are staying with us, and basically tells the system the guests that are upstairs right now, they are guests, and system says back, voice recognition accepted. Toshinori Yagi, primary owner recognized. Command accepted. No actions will be taken against these two for the time being. And basically, if someone breaks into their house, there are security measures. But if they enter through the front door and Izuku or All Might enters beforehand, they do have to say guess, and so All Might's like, what's up, Izuku? Are you a little nervous having girls stay over? And Izuku's like, no, that's not it. Like, are you really okay, All Might? Like, did the quirk really take? And All Might's like, yes, you don't have to worry about that, young man. And thank you for this. Like, I can finally do hero work to its fullest again, and keep up my commitments to UA. And yes, I will keep being a teacher there, and I've actually kind of started to like it. And Izuku kind of chuckles a little bit, and she's like, yeah. Also, it gives me more time to where I can spend with you and help you train, and not have to give up hero work. So Izuku does, thanks her again, and basically gives her a hug, good night, and heads back upstairs to his room. And so All Might goes up, and she finds Monoma in Katsuki, and she says, okay, rule number 1 of the household. You two are not allowed in his room. And Katsuki's like, All Might, I wouldn't, nothing would ever happen between me and Izuku. We're family, and that's just wrong. And Monoma's like, yeah, and he's actually not even my type. I like my men not as, I don't know, it's hard to explain. He's just not my type, and I would never fall for a guy like him. So Monoma is reassures him, but in any case, we'll follow the rules. And so All Might spends the next couple minutes, and then tells the girls that they should get get some sleep now because the training starts tomorrow. And if you think what we went through in UA is difficult, you haven't seen anything. So with that, guys, I am going to end the video here. I know this one's a little bit long compared to like the other parts, but there was just so much I wanted to go over in this part that I didn't want to split this up because I felt like it would kind of ruin the story for this part a little bit. So again, thank you again for watching the video all the way up until this point. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I will see you beautiful souls in the next video.